Okay, let's get started. Hello, Friday. Isn't Friday's got such a positive connotation to it, right? It's like, it wasn't like, oh my God, it's Monday or maybe hump day, but it's Friday. Friday was always good. They even named a restaurant after TGIF. Anyway, I also found out some exciting news before this call. Today is National Cookie Day, and who doesn't love cookies? All right. Who doesn't love cookies? So you got Friday, National Cookie Day, and we're good to go. Now, before we start, I want to ask you a couple questions. In the past week, who hasn't lost their temper, lashed out, and got angry, and really didn't know why? Who's pondered the future and was just like paralyzed by fear and woe is me and the bad things that could possibly happen? And who's looked back in the past and said, oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I could have done that. Why did I do that? And regretted the past. Okay, I got one thing to say to you. You're absolutely normal. You're normal. It's not you, it's your brain. Okay? You're absolutely normal. 2020 has been a tough year for everybody. And I know that there's some people that are struggling more than others. But no matter where you are on your journey, I hope that these Neuro-Fitness Fridays can add just at least one idea, one tool, one way you can cope a little better and get your brain in a more positive, proactive place. That's my wish for you. All right, I got a lot of exciting topics that I want to cover over the next few weeks. But let me tell you, today I figured let's start with some foundations. Let's start with what's going on inside your head. Our brains are amazing things. You know, they really are. But sometimes they're our friends and sometimes they're our foes. And why is that? Well, the number one responsibility of our brain is to keep us alive. Yeah, is to keep us alive, to protect us. So it's always out there scanning for what could go wrong, for the harm, for the potential negativity, for that, snake that could jump out from the corner. So our brains are always on the lookout for what problems there are. You know what? I guess you could say our brains don't really care about our feelings. They just want to keep us alive and protect us. Our brains have wiring, I call them maps, that try to automate almost everything you can. They can. Can you imagine like getting up in the morning and go into the mirror and go, okay, now I have to think about how do I brush my teeth and do that every single day? No, you don't have to. It's automated, it's programmed, it's unconscious. You know how to do it. But those maps are also burdened with the evolutionary baggage of millions of years of evolution. And it's also burdened by a lifetime of personal experiences. I want to share a little story with you. In the spring of 2019, I had the high honor of getting invited to my grandson's spring concert at his school, where only grandparents were allowed to attend. And this exciting event was held in the school auditorium, and everyone from the preschoolers to the 8th graders were there. The auditorium gymnasium was packed with grandparents, excited, really anxious to see their grandchildren perform. The first group that got up there were the preschoolers, and they did their little 3 songs and finger plays. And after they were done, the principal got on the microphone and said, "Will the grandparents of the preschoolers please come get your grandchildren and bring them back to the seats with you so we can continue the program?" Lots of excitement, lots of positivity, lots of smiles, lots of laughter. And I happened to be sitting on the end of the aisle, and I caught my eye caught one grandfather walking down the aisle with his grandson, and he had his hand and he was holding him, and the grandson was beaming ear to ear with smiles. And the grandfather looked down at his grandson and said, "Adam," he goes, "you did a really good job, but next time, take your hands out of your pockets." And in that instant, the grandson's smile turned into sad frown. He almost burst into tears. Now, I don't blame the grandfather. He was just trying to inspire his grandson and do things and be the right, most positive way he could behave. But in that instant, a map and a memory was created with poor little Adam. It said, "I'm not good enough." And through the rest of his life, he's going to be bombarded with messages that say, "I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not good looking enough, I don't drive the right car, I don't wear the right jeans." All of these things that beat down our self-esteem and create negativity and bad thinking in our brains. Because of this negativity and because of all of this, our brains have a default mechanism. And that default mechanism is bad is stronger than good, threats are stronger than rewards, fear is stronger than hope. But you can't pull back. You can pull back and go and lean into the positive. But it takes work. But you can do it. All of this negativity leads to worry. Lots of worry. We talked about it, right? And a lot of that worry is just imaginary worry. We succumb to like creating problems in our head and the noise in our head that just we don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we lean into the negative and we create all of this anxiousness and all this worry and all this stress. The worry may be imaginary, but I got to tell you, the stress is real. You know, it doesn't seem fair, does it? It's like we have imaginary worry, but real stress. Why can't the stress be imaginary? But I like to call this imaginary worry stinking thinking. Stinking thinking. You know, I used to tell people it's like sometimes our minds are the biggest obstacle we face. Everybody's heard the expression, "Don't believe everything you hear," or "Don't believe everything you read." I'm going to say, don't believe everything you think. That will do you a favor in the future. Our thoughts and our feelings, really our thoughts and our feelings, many of them subconscious, define how we behave and how we respond to a certain situation. And that's why we lash out. That's why we get angry. That's why we have these imaginary things. But there's great news. The great news is you are in charge of your brain, not the other way around. You can take back control of your brain and you can develop what I call a winning mindset. That's what neurofitness is, a winning mindset. A winning mindset where you manage the noise in your head, where you can replace fear with hope, where you can replace regret with learning, where you can control your urges, where you can recover from adversity, where you can develop more resiliency, where you can make better decisions, where you can set and achieve motivating, powerful, positive goals. All of these things are brain skills that you can develop just like driving a car, but it takes work. It takes work to develop those new maps, to override the bad maps that are already there, reprogram your brain, but you can do it. So let's get to it. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please type them in. I will promise to read all of them at the end of the session. Just type away and type them in. We're going to have some Q&A time at the end. but I wanted to give you an opportunity to let you know, just type in your comments, and if I don't get to them today, we will read them, and I will respond, and we'll get everybody's questions answered. Okay, now, if you went to a fitness center, you'd have to do some warm up before you just jumped on the treadmill. So the Neuro-Fitness Center is no different. We're going to do a brief warm up for your brain. We're going to do 3 short warm ups. Warm up number 1. What I want you to do is I want you to take your finger, and I want you to take your hand, and I want you to pinch your index finger as tightly as you can, and I'm going to count to 10. Ready? Go. Start pinching. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let go. Okay, you know what happened there? Probably happened. You either stopped breathing or you resorted to shallow breathing. When we put our bodies under stress, even just pinching our fingernail, our breathing gets shallow or even stopped. Anybody who's been in a yoga class and the yoga instructor, while you're holding the warrior position, says, don't forget to breathe, can relate to that. So what we're going to do as a first warm up is we're going to give our brains the gift of breath and oxygen. We're going to do the best breathing technique that I found, and I can encourage people to do, is a breathing technique called 4x4. And that technique essentially says, breathe in through your nostrils for 4 counts, hold it, and breathe out through your mouth. Exhale through your mouth for 4 counts. We're going to try that twice. Ready? There, you just gave the gift of oxygen to your brain. You could do it twice, you could do it 3 times. It helps no matter even if you just did it once. The mindful breathing will give your brain, change the brain chemicals and the balance in there, and set you right. Warm up number 2. Warm up number 2. A lot of you are on this call and you're probably thinking about, like, there's something else going on in the back of your mind. Maybe you're answering emails while you've got the video on. Maybe you're thinking about what you need to do, a grocery shopping list, or that you need to, pick up the kids from school, or that your boss is going to be calling right after the call, or what you have to do at 7 o'clock tonight. There's probably some thoughts that are rolling around in your head, okay? Our brain capacity for cognitive thinking and processing is extremely limited. Now, many people say, well, I can multitask. It's not really true. Only 3% of the world's brains can multitask, are wired to multitask. What the rest of us do is called switch tasking. We're jumping from one thing to another, back to one thing to another, and it keeps going back and forth. And all this switching back and forth is stressing out your prefrontal cortex. It's stressing out your cognitive abilities and reducing your ability to really have your brain at its best. The focus on that is what you can really do to overcome it. Have strong, clear focus. So I want everybody to do right now is think about whatever thought you were just thinking about, like, I was thinking about this, but I'm going to put that aside for the next half hour and just focus on myself and my brain and the gift I can give myself. That will be a very powerful thing. Setting aside what you think we're trying to multitask on, and just focusing on the one positive thing that you really need to understand right now at this time and place. A lot of athletic teams have an acronym for WIN. It's called What's Important Now. And what's important now is that you give your brain and you give yourself the gift of understanding what you can do, and take in over these next few minutes some tips that you can do to help yourself. That's why you signed up for the course. You might as well give yourself the gift of focus. The third thing I want you to do, I want you to pick up a pen or a pencil or whatever and find a piece of paper. And I want you to write down one thing that you're grateful for in this moment. Whatever pops into your head, write it down. Now, why am I asking you to write it down? I'm asking you to write it down because they've proven that there's an extremely powerful connection between our brain's memory and its ability to process and remember things and create new maps. It's very strong with the other senses we have. That's why saying something out loud, having an implementation intention, saying whatever thing, saying it out loud will be more positive than just thinking it. And writing something down with your hand on a pen and paper, the old-fashioned way, will help you register even a stronger hit of dopamine for that gratitude, rather than having the thought just come in and out of your mind. So write it down. That's why they say gratitude journaling is so powerful. And it is. The act of taking out a pen and paper and just writing down what you're grateful for has an extremely positive influence on your brain. Okay, there we go. Now, in this session, I'm going to share with you some what I call brain lifters. All right, brain lifters. You come to the Neuro-Fitness Center, we're going to do some brain lifting. Now, remember, we talked about these behaviors that we had. These behaviors were really driven by subconscious maps, thoughts, feelings, memories. Like poor Adam, years from now, will think about the fact that he wasn't good enough at his preschool spring recital. It's influenced by all those maps, but it's also influenced by physical influences. And what do I mean by physical influences? I mean your body and your surroundings. So, number one, brain lifter. In the heat of the moment, let's say you're feeling anxious, or let's say you're feeling nervous, or let's say you're feeling mad, or you're leaning into some sadness. In the heat of the moment, the first thing you want to do is check your body, check the physical. Are you breathing? Remember, maybe you haven't been breathing. Go back and do a few mindful deep breaths, because probably if you're under stress, you haven't been breathing correctly. Nourish your brain with some oxygen. What about hydration? You probably haven't drank enough water. Our brains need water and hydration in order to be their best. What about nourishment? Have you been eating correctly? Are you hungry? If you're hungry, you can't be your best. Have you been sitting too long in one place? You know, our brains evolved while we were moving, hunting for food, seeking shelter, looking to kill the woolly mammoth. Our brains evolved without moving. They didn't evolve while sitting behind a desk for hours at a time. If you've been sitting for a while, get up, take a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk. It'll help. If you can't get away for 5 or 10 minutes, get up and stretch for 2 minutes. Stretch your arms, stretch your neck, because you've probably been hunched over a computer. Just move around just a little bit, shake it up, shake your hands, whatever you need to do. Put some movement into your body. It will help your brain refocus and recharge. If you've not getting enough sleep lately, I know that's a big problem for a lot of people. Makes it hard to concentrate. So give yourself that gift of focus. Take a minute or whatever you can afford to just focus and clear your mind of everything. Focus on some happy thoughts. Focus on some pleasant things. Find what works for you in the best possible way. After you've checked your physical body, check the environment you're in. Is there a nagging dog barking in the background? Is there some, noise that's making you angry, or is there some people shouting, or maybe you're in a meeting room and there's a lot of negativity and arguing going on? Change it up, change the scenery, get out of where you are, move move to a different place, change that scenery up. It will change, right? If you've got some negative distractions, get rid of them. Try to replace them with some positive influences, okay? Those things will help. The physical part will help. Now let's talk about the mental part, the brain part. Okay, once you've checked the physical part, you've got these feelings and these thoughts and reactions. The most important thing that you can do, the most important thing that you can do in the moment is what I call label your emotions. Just think about what you're feeling. Put a word to it and get as specific as possible. Now, why is this important? Well, here, let's pretend, I'm gonna show you something. Let's pretend this is your spinal cord and this is your brain, okay? This part of your brain is the evolutionary part. It's the emotional part. It's what's referred to often as the limbic system part of your brain. This part of your brain, right here, the part that sits right behind your forehead, it's probably the size of a credit card, is what's called your prefrontal cortex. That's what processes all your cognitive abilities, all your decision making, all your logical thinking, all of your thought, all of your clear strategic thoughts. Okay? And what happens when you're in the heat of the moment, your prefrontal cortex disengages from and your emotional limbic system takes over. And you don't want to act and behave when the limbic system is in charge. You don't want to let your adrenaline do your thinking for you. So what do you need to do? The simple act of thinking about what you're feeling will re-engage the prefrontal cortex and get your whole brain working for you. So just think about what you're feeling. If you're too angry to even think about what you're feeling and put a specific word to it, start by thinking, what do I want for myself right now? Just start the logical thought process. Get that going for you. Re-engage your whole brain. Label your emotions. Now, when you're labeling your emotions, I want you to also notice what effect it's having on your body. And then I want you to ask, are the thoughts and feelings I'm having right now projections based on this imaginary noise or stinking thinking that's going on? Let's say you've heard that the boss has been really difficult to deal with lately, or you've had a really couple bad run-ins with a customer, and maybe they've gotten mad. And you're sitting at your desk and you see an email pop up, and it's from either your boss or this customer. And the first thing that happens is you tense up. Your legs will tense up. Maybe your palms will sweat. You may start getting short breaths because you immediately jump to the conclusion, something's wrong. I screwed up. They're going to yell at me. Woe is me. And all of that negativity releases the stress hormone cortisol, which is a thing we don't want to do. So ask yourself, are they really, these feelings, are they based on imaginary noise? Maybe the boss or your customer just wants to ask you a question. Or better yet, maybe they want to compliment you on something you did and share some good news with you. But we lean into the negativity too often without any validity or valid reason to do it. So don't make any assumptions about the future. Give yourself an act of self-love. Just focus on the present and reduce the cortisol in your body. Okay, those are two things you can do in the moment, right? Check the physical, check the body, label your emotions. The next thing we want to talk about is creating a positive belief system. Creating a positive belief system. Remember I said the default mechanism for our brain is bad is stronger than good, and the pull to the negative. So what we really need to do is find ways to create a positive belief system. You know, fear and regret, fear over the future, regret over the past, are really powerful stressors that haunt many of us. And they really do. And I'm inspired by something that Dalai Lama said. I'll share it with you. I got it framed, keep it up in my office. It says, there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, believe, do, and mostly live. Focus on today. You can't do anything about yesterday, but learn from it. You can't do anything about tomorrow because it's not here yet. You can plan for tomorrow. You can make a plan. You can set some goals, but you're only going to achieve those goals if you act right today. So focus on today. The second thing you can do to create a positive belief system is adopt the mindset that says, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm just going to do the best I can. Now, the best you can will be affected by if you may be sick or feeling under the weather or didn't get enough sleep or, outside influences will affect the best you can. But if you can live your life with the belief that says, I'm just going to lay it out there and do the best I can, you won't have the regrets of, I wish I would have done this, or I could have done this, or I wish I'd done this. If you look back and say, it didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I did the best I could, will reduce a lot of regret in your life. The third thing you can do to create a positive belief system is ask yourself what I call doing a today review, and ask yourself 3 powerful questions at the end of the day. Question number 1, what am I grateful for today? The other day I was grateful for the fact that the guy who ran the red light didn't smash into my car, right? Some days you'll be grateful for big things. Some days you may just be grateful for little things. Some days you may have to search for what you're grateful for, but find one thing you're grateful for today. The second question you ask yourself is, what went well today? You'll find something, what went well today? Maybe it's like, it was a really rough day, but the fact that I helped a coworker out of it, gave him some advice, him or her some advice, and helped them out was a really gratifying thing for me. That went well. That's great. The third question, what would I do differently? You don't want to ask yourself the question, what went wrong? Because that sets up a negative mindset. But you want to put yourself in a growth mindset, a learning mindset, and say, what would I do differently? And then get up tomorrow and act on that in a different way. All right? Create a positive belief system. The third brain lifter that we want to talk about today is what I call leaning into the gratitude that you have. We talk about gratitude practice, and I give you, here's the thing, next week, the topic is going to be how to supercharge the 3 types of gratitude. Yeah, there's 3 types of gratitude, and what we're going to talk about next week is how to supercharge all 3 kinds. And they all have a positive impact on your brain. They all release dopamine and serotonin, those positive brain chemicals. But I'm going to share with you some ways that you can supercharge those to get even bigger, more powerful, positive benefits. But in the meantime, let's lean into the gratitude. And the brain lifter I'm going to give you today is commit to 1 act of kindness per day. Maybe it's just holding the door open for somebody, or you get to a stop sign and you let the other person go. Maybe it's something bigger than that. Commit to 1 act of kindness per day. And importantly, don't forget about being kind to yourself. Too often we live our lives trying to be in service of others. You cannot be in service of others and be at your best and be kind to others unless you're kind to yourself. You have to start with yourself. The number 1 person that you need to make happy is you. Once you do that, then you can make your family happy and your friends and your other loved ones and your colleagues and other people in your life. But it starts with you. Okay, so let's reprise this, what we've talked about today. Number one, unwanted and regretful emotions, they're perfectly normal. Don't worry about it. A winning mindset is possible, however. You can overcome those things and develop a winning mindset by taking back control of your brain, saying, I'm in charge of my brain, not the other way around, and work at it, practice at it, develop those new positive brain muscles. Thirdly, we talked about what we can do about stress in the moment. When we're in the moment, we check the physical, check our bodies, hydration, breathing, nourishment, movement. We check physical surroundings, and then we label our emotions. Think about what we're feeling and get as specific as we can. Fourth, we said, let's try to create a positive belief system. A positive belief system. Okay, focus on today. Create a mindset that you're just going to do the best you can. And thirdly, maybe think about trying that today review with those 3 simple questions. What am I grateful for? What went well? What would I do differently? And lastly, we talked about committing to 1 act of kindness per day. 1 act of kindness per day. Well, I want to wrap this up and leave some time at the end for questions. First thing I'd like to do is share my sincere gratitude and appreciation for you signing up and joining me on Neuro-Fitness Fridays, the launch session. All right, I hope you got something out of it. I want you to congratulate yourself for starting this journey to neurofitness. It's a really important journey. I hope you will benefit from it as it has benefited others. I've got a lot of future topics to talk about, and I've planned enough content, I guess, for the next 26 weeks. But if you have any ideas or anything that you want me to talk about and share, please, drop me a note in the comment box, send me an email. I'm interested in what you want to hear about, because this is really for you. These sessions, these Neuro-Fitness Friday sessions, are all about helping you. So if there's something you want to talk about, let me know and we'll construct something around that if at all possible. Now we're going to open this up to Q&A, but if you for some reason have to jump off the call, I'd like you to leave some feedback or comments in the comment section. And if you don't want to do that, I ask you to please send me an email with whatever feedback and comments you have. I promise to read all of them. The best email to reach me is my name, Al, at neuro-fitness.com. That's neuro-fitness.com. Neuro-fitness.com is also my website where you can go for more information. If you've liked what you've heard today, and it seemed to make sense to you, I invite you to come back. We had a lot of people register for this first session on December 4th, and then there was a drop off for the next 2 sessions. I hope you only did that because maybe you didn't click the right box, but register for the rest of the sessions and come back and invite a friend or a colleague to come back with you. After we do the 3 sessions, one next Friday, December 11th, one on December 18th, we'll take a couple-week hiatus and then start back up in 2021 with some very powerful, positive topics, and talk about the first session in 2021. We're going to talk about brain smart goal setting and how to make your New Year's resolutions stick from a neuroscience point of view. Okay. So you can send me an email, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my blogs and newsletters. All of those things would be wanted, and I encourage you to do so. I have, before we open it up for Q&A, I also have a really exciting announcement to share with you. I have developed, as part of this program, a 5-session, very intensive neuro-fitness program. This 5-session program occurs 1 session a week over 5 weeks. There's workbooks, there's homework, there's group collaboration. This 5-session neuro-fitness program I'm offering for the first time ever to open enrollment starting the 3rd week in January at an unbelievably low price. You can go to my website, www.neuro-fitness.com, and you'll see a banner at the top. Click on the banner and you can get all the details. Or you can just email me again at al@neuro-fitness.com. I also have, for those of you that work at different companies, I also have a keynote that I give. It's free. I give it free to anyone who wants it. It's a 45-minute keynote on the 6 key actions you need for a healthy brain now and to reduce your chance of cognitive decline later in life. So what I'd like to do now is close and then open it up to some Q&A. And here's a simple closure that we will close all the Neuro-Fitness Friday sessions with. Hello, Friday. Hello, learning. Hello, gratitude. Hello, hope. I am ready for whatever's next. And I hope you are too. With that, I'm going to open it up to some Q&A. If you want to raise your hand or have a comment or type it in, we'll try to answer as many questions as we possibly can in the remainder of the time. Okay, thanks again for coming. What do we have here? We had okay. All right, I haven't seen any questions so far, just some comments. All right, well, if you have any questions, I also understand there were some people, we had some problems with the waiting room, and hopefully we'll get that corrected. But the good news is this has been recorded. And I will send an email out with a link to the recording that if for the people for some reason, technical reason, didn't get a chance to join, they will have the opportunity to visit the recording. So anybody have any questions before we call this one a day? I guess not. And with that, again, hello, Friday. Hello, learning. Hello, gratitude. Hello, hope. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Have a great weekend.